Yeah.
Hi, Steve.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us again.
Thank you.
Today, I'd just like to ask you if you have any tips for beginner artists.
Okay, sure. So I guess my tips would be to first of all find what it is that you love to paint. I think that that's really important.
Yeah.
I think if you love it, it will be your best work. And if you don't love it, it's not likely to go so well.
I really agree. Yeah.
And I think the way to do that is to paint lots of different things, whatever you feel like painting, and look at other artists that inspire you. And you can either start off by copying other artists' work, obviously not to sell or anything like that, but just for practice, and work out what your style is as well. So I think, those are the two things that you need to figure out. What is your unique style and what it is you enjoy painting.
Yeah.
And I think once you've worked out those two things, then you will just keep going, and your work will just improve and improve through practice, lots and lots of practice. And also you need to work out what medium it is that you like working with, because all the mediums are very different and can create lots of different effects. Like, for example, I paint wildlife animals, which lend themselves really well to fine detailed brushwork, whereas like my tree paintings like I have here, it's a much more freer, looser style that I predominantly use a palette knife with, and
Right.
that's how I create all the lovely texture in my work. And the palette knife almost does half the work for you, in my opinion. You might like to work freer, or you might love detail, and it's figuring all those things out, I think, and finding what suits you the best. And then I think it's a case of if you do want to become professional, or you might just want it as a hobby, that's fine too. But it depends how serious you want to get with your art, and do you want to try and make a career out of it, or is this just something you want to do to relax? But I think whatever it is, you still want to produce your best work, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree.
And I think it's if you do want to go far with it, I think the best way is to talk to other artists as well, and get advice, which is what I have definitely done.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
And I've been mentored by a successful artist for my wildlife paintings. I'm sure he won't mind me saying his name.
No, say his name. Say his name.
David Stribling.
David, if you're out there. Hi.
Yeah, he's a very talented wildlife artist, and I used to sort of nag him quite a lot with a lot of questions.
But it's great though. And so, can I just ask? So, I'm not quite sure how you connected, but was it through Instagram, or was it through the gallery?
No, it was through Instagram, and basically it started off by me deciding that I might like to make some prints out of my work, and I didn't have a clue how to go about it. So I looked for an artist that I deemed successful, who was creating similar sort of work to myself, and who was selling a lot of prints. And I wasn't sure, did I need to photograph it or scan it, or how to print it? And he gave me some really great advice on that subject. But because he was so easy to talk to, and you know, sometimes it can be a bit daunting approaching, you know, artists who have lots of followers, and
Yeah.
you know, you think that they might not want to give you the time of day, but I've actually found out that everyone is just genuinely really helpful and kind, and then that allowed, you know, gave me the courage to then, you know, ask for help whenever I needed it, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, because being an artist can, as you know, Steve, be quite lonely, and
Yeah.
you don't have anyone to bounce any ideas off. You're not like working, like when I was a designer, I had, you know, a team of designers that I could bounce ideas off of, and you know, you don't have that just sat at home in your studio or wherever you're working on your own. So you know, it's great to have a little network, and a great way is through Instagram to find those people. You know, and Steve also has been a great help to me,
And
especially.
likewise, and you to
Yeah.
me. You know, I mean, it's
Oh,
yeah, those networks. I mean, I think that's great advice actually for perhaps
yeah.
not just for people starting out, but just anyone engaging in creative activity. Is, you know, suddenly there'd be all these people that you previously, before social media, wouldn't have ever met, and now you're all, you know, there's a little community of you, and like you, my experience echoes what you've just said. You know, they're really helpful. They're very friendly. People
Yeah.
are always, you know, generally pretty helpful to engage, and you make good friends. You know, these are people that you go, you call up and you say, I'm in a bit of difficulty. You know, can you just have a look at this painting? Make sure I'm not going mad. And that's really useful.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. So I agree with you. Yeah, that network is important, I think.
And I think for me in particular, like, I always get to this certain point in my painting where I start to have a slight wobble,
Yeah,
and the anxiety and self-doubt kicks in,
yeah.
and then
I'm with you.
it's not. And then I think when you've been staring at a painting so long, sometimes you just can't see it anymore, and it's just nice to have a pair of fresh eyes and someone to say to you, "You're doing okay. You're on the right track," you know.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and
I
you know,
absolutely feel that. Yeah,
give you that bit of reassurance. You know, because obviously I can ask my family, but it's not quite the same. And you know, especially asking another artist who you know has got that eye for things, and they'll spot something if it's not quite right, and you know, and I think they will genuinely be honest with you as well,
yeah.
and they will tell you if something is not quite right, because
But
it's
they
all
all,
about helping each other, isn't it?
yeah. I have, but no, my experience is pretty much as yours. But and I would just observe that, you know, whenever I've sort of asked people for advice, you know, what do you think about this? What do you think about that?
Yeah.
They're almost too nice in the response, because they're very, you know, they're very considered invariably,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you have to kind of probe for it. And what about that? What about it? And, well, yeah, you know, you could do this or you could do
yeah,
that. So it's really nice. I love it. But
yeah.
you know, no, I've never encountered someone who goes, "Oh, that's dreadful. You really want to just." Oh, well, in fact, I would start again. No,
No,
there's none of that, which is
no,
lovely. I think it's really good. People are very nice about it.
yeah. Well, us artists, I think we can tend to be quite sensitive people, and
Yeah. Well, certainly
I
with
think,
regard
you
to the
know,
art, you know,
yeah,
I think that's
exactly,
true. You know, most of us, when
yeah,
it comes to our paintings, we kind of, you do this
yeah,
thing on your own, don't you, in a room, and then
yeah,
suddenly you sort of show it to the world, and you kind of, what are people going to think of it? And you worry about that. I do, certainly.
definitely.
Yeah,
Well, the problem with it is, I think it's very much about what people think, especially if you're trying to sell your art, and so people's opinions are so important. But you're never going to please everybody because it's so subjective
true.
anyway.
Yeah,
And you know, you have to. What I think I've struggled with a bit is just trying to please myself first, and you know, just loving it, and then kind of having that attitude. Well, if you love it, you love it. If you don't, you know, then that's fine too. There'll be, you know, a different taste that you all like, and
yeah,
you know, it is quite tricky. But yeah, hopefully in time.
yeah. So that was really interesting, and a lot of what you said sort of, echoes, some of my experiences as well. Great advice, I think, there for people just starting out. Some, especially from yourself, someone who's a successful, productive artist. Hopefully, people watching who are starting out will glean some sort of useful information from that. And in fact, I'd go one step further, and probably it would be interesting viewing, certainly interesting viewing from my perspective, just listening to what you've got to say for all artists, not just beginners. So, thanks so much for providing us with your insights. I'm really grateful. And for those at home watching this, if that was useful to you, then please drop us a comment, give us a like, and we'd be really grateful if you could consider subscribing. But thanks so much for watching. And Sophia, as ever, brilliant chatting to you. Thanks so much for your time, and look forward to the next time. Cheers.
Always a pleasure.
Bye.
See you later. Bye.